soft breath on his lips, a trembling hand against his cheek. Her voice, cracked by time and regret, whispers, "Wake up, Reese, please. They found us." The pod's seal hisses open with a sharp gasp, and warm light spills across his bare chest. His eyes flutter, slowly, blindly, until they lock on hers. She hasn't aged. He shouldn't remember her. But he does. Because no one forgets the one they died for. And no one forgets the one who brought them back. Her palm hovered just above the curved glass, fingers quivering. The hum of the stasis chamber was steady now, calm, low, like a machine trying not to disturb a dream. Vilari drew a shaky breath. It had been 250 years since she sealed him inside. Since she'd turned her back on her empire, her oath, and everything she was, for the man lying motionless inside this cave. Time had not touched his body, his bare chest still rose and fell faintly under the life-preserving gel. His hair still fell in dark strands over his forehead, unchanged. Perfect. But she had changed. Goddess, had she changed? The once glorious Captain Vilari of the Zyrian vanguard was now nothing more than a fugitive. An exile. A traitor. Yet here she stood again, where it had all ended, where her heart had broken once and refused to heal. She pressed her hand to the activation rune. A low chime pulsed through the cave. The pod lights flickered. Steam hissed from its edges. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Reese, wake up. Please. They've found us." The hiss turned into a sigh, and the pod's shell retracted with a smooth, practiced motion. Cold air spilled into the cave, fogging the ground. He inhaled sharply, chest lifting as the fluid drained beneath him. Then, those eyes. Those same steel-grey eyes opened and blinked slowly at her. Confused, clouded, but alive. Her knees nearly buckled. "Varel." His voice was rough. Disoriented. But he said her name like it had never left his lips. A tear slipped from the corner of her eye. She hadn't cried in 100 years. "You remember." "Of course I do." His hand reached toward her, weakly, like a man still dreaming. "I never forgot you." She caught his fingers in hers and brought them to her cheek. "I thought I was dead," he murmured. "You were," she whispered. "Almost." His eyes roamed her face now, soaking her in. "You look exactly the same." "You don't." Her voice broke into a faint smile. "You look better than I remembered." He tried to sit up but winced, falling back. "Easy," she said, kneeling beside him. "Your body's been suspended for 2.5 centuries. You need to adapt slowly." "What happened?" "The war. We lost," she interrupted. "Then we won. Then it all burned again. The galaxy doesn't remember heroes anymore, Reese. Only bloodlines and ownership." Her voice grew tight. "And my kind, they never forgave me for what I did for you." He studied her face, suddenly solemn. "Why did you come back?" She looked away, just for a heartbeat. "Because I made a promise. And because I couldn't go another day without seeing you again." He stared at her for a long moment. "And now?" She swallowed. Her wristband pulsed with red light. "They found us." He sat up too fast this time, growling in pain but forcing himself up on one elbow. "How close?" "Too close. The scan pulse breached the cave's mouth an hour ago. We have minutes, maybe less." "Then why'd you wake me?" Her eyes snapped back to his. "Because I would rather die beside you than run for another century alone." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. His hand found her jaw, warm despite the chill in his muscles. His thumb brushed the corner of her mouth. "You always did say the cave made a good tomb," he whispered. "I never meant it to be yours." Their foreheads touched, breaths mingling in the cool air. "I'm not strong enough to run," he said. "You don't have to be. I'm not leaving you again." She stood and pulled a weather-cloaked pack from behind the stasis unit. Then she offered her hand. He hesitated for only a moment before taking it. Their fingers locked, the way they once had beneath the twin moons of Eltherion when they danced at the edge of war. She helped him into a light exoframe, barely enough to support his legs. It hummed softly as he found balance. He looked down at himself. "I feel like a relic." "You are," she said. You're the last human war captain from the Terran Alliance. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No, her lips curled. But it makes you legendary. Rhys smirked. The cave trembled. A sharp screech echoed through the tunnel's drones. Villari's smile faded. We go now. She didn't wait for his reply. He limped beside her as they moved through the back tunnels she'd carved out herself, decades ago, just in case this moment ever came. Just in case she had a reason to wake him. Each step was labored for him, but he never let go of her hand. Do you trust me? She asked over her shoulder. I trusted you the moment you betrayed your people to save me. Her breath hitched, just slightly. Torchlight flickered ahead. Natural vents opened into the undermountain gorge. In the distance, sharp white lights danced across the sky, searchcraft. She turned to him. They want you dead, Rhys. And they want me to deliver you. What are you going to do? She pulled him close, so close he could feel her breath at his lips. I'm going to make them wish they'd never touched you. And then she kissed him. Not like it was the end. But like it was only the beginning. The gorge wind howled around them as Villari gripped Rhys's hand and pulled him through the jagged stone opening. Cold mountain air bit into their skin, but neither stopped. Not even to breathe. The sound of scanner drones swarmed the upper cliffs, echoing in rhythmic pulses, one beat away from locking onto their signal. Villari's cloak snapped in the wind as her boots found the narrow ledge, her other arm wrapped tightly around Rhys's waist to steady him. He was doing his best to keep up, but the exoframe's servos weren't fully calibrated yet. Every step looked like pain. You okay? She asked, not slowing. His breath fogged the air. Nothing I haven't crawled through worse. She shot him a sideways glance. That cocky edge hadn't dulled one bit. Below them, far across the chasm, lights flared, search teams. Armed. Precise. No time to think. Villari reached a jagged drop and crouched beside it, pulling a capsule from her belt. With a flick of her fingers, it expanded into a compact glideboard with enough power for two. Seriously? Rhys grinned faintly. You always did love making a dramatic exit. She smirked. Romance demands flair. She straddled the board and pulled him close. His arms wrapped around her without hesitation, warm, strong despite the weakness in his frame. She could feel his heartbeat at her back. Familiar. Steady. Villari kicked the board off the edge. They plunged. The rush of wind screamed past them as they soared across the chasm, the distant peaks illuminated by the silver light of twin moons. For a brief, breathless moment, it was as if nothing had changed, two lovers stealing time from a universe that hated them. As they reached the far ledge, she adjusted their trajectory and landed hard, her knees buckling slightly but holding firm. Rhys stepped off with a grunt. 10 out of 10, he said. Would glide again. She rolled her eyes. Save your charm. We're not safe yet. They slipped into the shadow of a tunnel network leading deep into the mountains, passageways carved during the rebellion years. As they moved, Rhys glanced sideways. You never told me what happened after you hid me. Villari's jaw tightened. I ran. My own command branded me a traitor. My family disavowed me. And the pure line rose. They made my love for you their rallying cry. She paused. The silence was heavy. Rhys, the war may have ended, but the hate didn't. They used us, our story, to justify their bloodlines, their purges. They made me a villain. And you kept running. I didn't care what they called me. I cared that you were still breathing. Even if it meant I had to vanish from every system. Rhys stopped walking. She turned, confused. What? His hand reached for her cheek. You carried that for 2.5 centuries. Her voice was barely a whisper. I carried you. Their lips met again, deeper this time. It wasn't a reunion. It was a reclaiming. Every second stolen back from time. When they broke apart, breathless, he leaned his forehead to hers. I don't want to run forever, he said. Then we don't, she replied. But we fight smart. A shadow moved behind them. Villari's head snapped toward it, pulse jumping. She reached for her weapon, but the figure stepped into the glow of her shoulder lamp. A woman. Alien. Scarred. Eyes like molten fire. Zera, Vilari breathed. The woman smiled grimly. Didn't think you'd come back here. Wasn't planning to. Rhys looked between them. Friend of yours? Zera snorted. She used to be. Until she fell in love with a corpse and vanished. Vilari didn't flinch. We need help. Zera studied Rhys, then smirked. You found your relic. Cute. He's not a relic. Sure. But he's a walking bounty now. You're both targets. The Pure Line's offering 7 million credits, dead or alive. Rhys tensed. Vilari stepped between them. Then I hope you're not here to collect. Zera laughed. Relax. I owe you more than I hate you. She turned and gestured deeper into the tunnel. Come on. I've got a place. For now. Zera's hideout was carved into the roots of the mountain, old rebel tech, half functioning but shielded. As they stepped inside, warmth hit them like a wave. Generators hummed. Flickering lights illuminated makeshift bunks, supplies, ancient maps of planetary routes. Rhys collapsed onto a padded bench. Vilari sat beside him. Zera tossed a medkit at her. He looks half dead. He just woke from cryostasis. Well, don't let him die now. Waste of all that romance. As Vilari examined Rhys's frame, her fingers tracing over scar tissue and cryo lines, his eyes found hers. I missed you, he said quietly. She paused. You don't even know what I've become. I don't care. I remember the woman who tore her stars off her uniform just to keep me breathing. Her hand trembled. I still love her, he said. She leaned down and kissed him again, slowly, deeply, as though anchoring herself to something real. Something worth bleeding for. They stayed that way until Zera cleared her throat. I hate to interrupt your epic reunion, but you've been tracked. Vilari broke away, eyes sharpening. What? Passive trace was activated the second you re-entered the outer gorge. You've got less than 6 hours before they breach this range. Rhys sat up straighter. Then we need to move. Vilari shook her head. You're not strong enough. Then I'll get strong. He reached for the rifle beside the bench. I'm not letting them take you. Not this time. She stared at him, heart hammering. She had saved him once by hiding him away. Now, they'd have to save each other. Together. Again. The rifle felt familiar in Rhys's hands, wrongly so. His fingers moved with memory his body hadn't caught up to. Muscles still stiff from centuries of slumber, but the grip fit like an old lover. Vilari watched him from across the small bunker room. She hadn't slept. Her cloak was off now, revealing the worn synthweave armor beneath, marked with long-forgotten insignias, some faded, others slashed through. Her eyes were shadowed with exhaustion, but her gaze never left him. You're not ready, she said softly. He smirked, testing the weapon's charge. Then stay behind me. Maybe they'll shoot me first. Not funny. It's a little funny. Vilari crossed the room. You died once, Rhys. I won't let them finish the job. He looked up, catching her hand. You hid me in a cave for 2.5 centuries. I think it's time I stand beside you. She knelt in front of him, her hand still wrapped in his. Do you understand what they'll do if they catch us? You're not just a fugitive. You're proof. That humans survived the culling. That love defied their doctrine. His grip tightened. Then let them see it. Before she could speak again, Zera's voice crackled through the intercom. Movement. 3 scout crafts inbound. You've got 10 minutes. Tops. Vilari stood. Grab only what you can carry. We're taking the lower tunnels. They moved fast. Zera led them through shadowed corridors beneath the mountain, old rebel escape routes built during the final collapse. Each turn echoed with the weight of history, the desperation of those who once fled through the same passages, hunted like animals. Rhys kept pace better now, though sweat dotted his brow. He never once let go of Vilari's side. Their hands brushed often, small, stolen sparks in the dark. Where do these tunnels lead? He asked. Down, Zera grunted. Then east. There's a freight line buried near the basin. If we time it right, we can board an automated cargo hauler and ride it off-grid. Vilari added, and if we're too slow? Then I hope you brought something explosive. Reese flexed his fingers around the rifle. Always. They reached an iron grate sealed by biometric lock. Zera placed her palm on the panel, it buzzed, flickered, and finally opened with a reluctant groan. As they entered the next corridor, the air grew colder. Metallic. The walls were lined with crates marked by faded military stamps. Vilari paused, brushing her fingers across one. I led my first squad through here, she murmured. 16 of us. Only 3 made it out. Reese turned to her, voice gentle. You don't have to carry them anymore. I don't. I carry you. He leaned in, his forehead touching hers again. Then we carry each other. Zera coughed behind them. If you two are done being poetic, we've got a train to catch. The hum of the freight line grew louder as they descended the final tunnel. The floor vibrated faintly beneath their boots. Vilari paused at the threshold, surveying the massive track below. It ran through an underground basin, carved into stone, shielded by ancient overgrowth and collapsed infrastructure. A cargo hauler, long, segmented, and semi-armored, approached slowly, guided by automated pulses. Reese eyed the speed. Think I can make that jump? I think if you miss, I'm diving after you, Vilari muttered. They waited. And then, together, they leapt. Zera landed cleanly. Reese stumbled, but Vilari caught him, pulling him upright with a grunt. They ducked behind one of the moving hauler's cargo modules as it rumbled toward open terrain. The interior was stacked with sealed crates, minerals, fuel, dried goods. All bound for Outer Rim settlements. Zera activated a magnetic seal, locking their position. This thing's headed toward Darsa Enclave. 3 days underground, then we hit surface again. Vilari nodded. We'll split before the last checkpoint. She turned to Reese, brushing his hair back from his face. You okay? His smile was soft now, tired but real. I'm with you. That's all I care about. Her throat tightened. They found a narrow alcove between crates and collapsed into it. The hum of the hauler masked the sound of her quiet sob. He held her close. I never stopped loving you, she whispered. I know, he murmured. I felt it. Even in stasis. I dreamed of your voice. They kissed again, slower now. There was no urgency in this one. No escape. Only need. Only memory. Only 2 souls who'd waited lifetimes for this moment. Their fingers intertwined. Then Zera's voice cut through the quiet. We've got a problem. Vilari turned, heart sinking. What now? Zera pointed toward a small comms relay flashing red. Encrypted burst just triggered from inside this cargo unit. We've been tagged. Reese's jaw clenched. Someone sold us out. Vilari rose to her feet, her voice steady. Cold. Then we don't wait for them to come. We choose where this ends. Reese looked up at her like she was light in the darkness. Wherever it ends, he said, we end it together. The wind screamed across the canyon as the cargo hauler surged from the underground into the pale morning light. Its armored frame groaned under the strain of the terrain, but it pressed forward, hauling the last remnants of a forgotten empire and 3 fugitives determined to rewrite their fate. Vilari stood atop the rear segment, cloak snapping behind her, pulse rifle locked to her shoulder. Reese crouched beside her, every breath tight with focus. The pure line strike craft were closing in, 2 of them, black like vultures, cutting through the air. Zera's voice crackled over the comms. They're within range. 5 minutes until interception. Vilari glanced at Reese. You ready? His lips curled faintly. Only waited 2.5 centuries for this. She reached for his hand. I don't care what happens, he whispered. As long as you don't let go. I won't. She meant it. The first missile streaked past them, narrowly missing the hauler's flank. Explosions rocked the rear cargo pod. Reese activated the defense turret they'd rigged from salvaged parts, primitive, but enough. The twin barrels roared, spitting fire into the sky. One of the strike craft spun away, smoke trailing. Vilari spotted an opening. Now. They leapt across the pods, running full tilt, dodging fire, moving like one. The second strike craft arced low, deploying repulsor troops. Heavily armored. Ruthless. Zera opened a side hatch and shouted, "Inside! It's now or never!" As they dived through, Rhys slammed the override, sealing the hatch. Inside, alarms blared. The air smelled of smoke and ozone. Vilari pressed her back against the wall, catching her breath. "Zera," she gasped. "You said we had an option." The older woman nodded grimly. "There's a canyon up ahead. A bridge unstable. If we collapse it, we bury the hauler and every signal they're chasing." Rhys looked between them. "You're saying we crash this thing?" "It's either that," Zera replied, "or die running." Vilari met Rhys's gaze. He didn't flinch. "Let's finish it." They reached the cockpit. Vilari interfaced with the hauler's nav systems while Rhys and Zera prepped the explosive failsafe. Below them, the great gorge yawned wide, deep enough to swallow the wreckage and anything buried within. As they neared the midpoint of the crumbling bridge, Rhys paused. "There's no escape pod," he said. Vilari nodded. "I know. We're going down with it." She turned to him, brushing his cheek. "There's something beautiful about choosing the end together." His lips found hers, desperate, grateful, whole. "I love you," he whispered. "I always have." Zera hit the manual override. The hauler shuddered, metal groaning. Rhys and Vilari leapt as one, diving into the edge of the gorge, landing on a narrow outcropping just as the bridge collapsed. The hauler plunged into the abyss, dragging the strike craft, the data cores, the tracking beacons, everything into silence. Fire bloomed below. And then, nothing but wind. 3 weeks later, on a quiet ridge overlooking the ruins of a forgotten city, Vilari sat beside Rhys beneath the stars. They shared a flask of something strong, stolen from Zera's stash. No more running. No more hiding. Just stars. And time. Zera had gone her own way, as always, disappearing into the shadows with a promise to erase their trail. She was never one for goodbyes. Rhys pulled Vilari closer. "Do you think it matters? What we did?" She rested her head against his shoulder. "To them? Maybe not. To the galaxy?" She smiled. "We reminded them that love can outlast war. That devotion isn't weakness, it's defiance." He looked up at the constellations. "Then maybe that's enough." They stayed silent for a long time. Together. In the end, the story of the human warrior and the alien soldier wasn't about victory or vengeance. It was about love's stubborn heartbeat. How it defied regimes, time, death, and even memory. And the moral, for those who still listened? Some souls are meant to find each other, no matter the stars that try to keep them apart. And once they do, they hold on. They don't let go. Not even for 250 years.